Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. On Tuesday, the Nintendo Direct was closed out by the full reveal of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Still no name, but as of right now they're aiming for a 2022 release and I'm honestly pretty confident that we'll see it next year. Hopefully there won't be any delays, but seriously, the game so far looks absolutely crazy. I'm loving the look of the game a lot. And not to mention the many theories that this trailer will fuel. Off the top of my head I have two that I know I want to talk about instantly. The first one, today's topic, is time travel. The second is a quick talk about the Zonai because they actually look fairly likely to be in the game now after this trailer. But back to the topic at hand, time travel. I'm scripting this right after the trailer, but I can already guarantee that 1 million people have already discussed this theory, and most Zeldatubers might even have a video out about it before Sunday. So just to reiterate, I have no clue what other videos have said, and this is purely my own assumptions, but I am expecting a lot of overlap with other videos. Anyway, we should probably get into it. If you're an avid enjoyer of Zelda, then please do subscribe to the channel. We're now officially in the wait for Breath of the Wild 2, and I'll be covering the game most weeks until it comes out. If you do subscribe, then thank you. Originally I was going to go through each one of the time travel theories chronologically through the trailer, but honestly I couldn't do it any justice. Instead I'll be relaying my thoughts on each thing I've seen in the trailer. The first piece of evidence for time travel being in Breath of the Wild 2 is something I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to point out. The hero that we can see diving in the clouds looks almost identical to the hero that we see in the mural that Impa shows you at the start of Breath of the Wild. I mean seriously, almost identical. Long hair, a green piece of cloth holding together the left side of his clothing. The original hero has something going on with his hand. In fact, this looks like the yellow glow that we see later on in the trailer that I'll talk about shortly. Legs are shown in the mural. The thing missing from said mural is actually the Master Sword. I haven't really looked into the whole Master Sword debacle yet, but I will say that the Master Sword is seen once at the beginning of the trailer and we don't see it once more after that. I almost guarantee we'll still see it though. I'll probably talk about this in a later video, but for now let's just get back into time travel. So first of all, we have the hero of old. Next up is something that's very debatable for whether or not the game will include time travel, considering the world needs to change gameplay wise in some capacity. But I'm definitely including it in this video, assuming that this is the hero of 10,000 years ago, and assuming we will be delving into time travel at least in some capacity. We really need to look into the fact that the only person we actually see in the sky exploration heavy areas is the hero from 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild. Plain and simple. I mean, the original hero of Wild's Link is in this trailer, but I'll talk about him in a second, but he isn't seen in any of these sky areas, presumably unless this underground dungeon looking area is actually inside one of the islands, but I kinda doubt that. For the time being, it looks like the big changed world that we were all expecting for the game is in the sky. And much like Ocarina of Time, you would have to time travel to go back to that time period. There are flaws and many moving parts of this theory that I'll get to nearing the end of the video, as it's far from being rock solid yet. But something else that does relate to the hero of 10,000 years ago? Well, I'm going to reverse the audio from the end of the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer and we'll also look into what that sounds like. Because this isn't any teaser deal where everyone speculates on reversed audio. This reversed audio sounds like something very, very important that may just break open this case once and for all. And then people started to realise that this reversed audio actually sounded a lot like when King Rome boss Faramus Hyrule, I probably got that wrong, actually talks about the mural, and during the mural speech, the music sounds oddly similar to that. Listen to this. As I'm writing this section of the script, someone else did break this open, so very well done to Taco on YouTube. The name is on the screen now. My utmost kudos goes to him. This is something that could very much be proof of time travel in the sequel by itself, but I digress, and let's move on to yet another moving part. The actual islands and the newer structures in Hyrule look ancient, or at least ancient in the Japanese world. For example, in one of the opening shots of the trailer we can see the opening to a Shinto shrine. Ancient structures found across Japan. To me this already says that we're getting a much older looking game. I mean, even looking at the final shot of Link in the trailer we can see all of the ancient architecture floating around him. To the side of him is a stone made structure. Everything in this trailer looks stone made or old in general really, especially when compared to Breath of the Wild structures. I mean, just look on screen. There is a very clear difference here. And even in this short time that seems to elapse from Breath of the Wild 1 and 2, I can't see them changing Hyrule this much architecturally, lore-wise. Even if they were trying to rebuild Hyrule from the ground up. One of the largest spectacles that we can see in the trailer building wise comes in this shot with something that looks identical to an upside down pyramid. I could actually imagine this being a dungeon of sorts, but I'll leave that for a separate video. Overall though, the architecture is once again nothing like what we've seen in the Zelda series as a whole really. And funnily enough, if this building looks like it was built in any era, it looks as if it might have been built in the era of the Sky. Skyward Sword was probably the game where we saw most stone buildings, which again tells me at least that this is a time long before Breath of the Wild happens. Next up is the weird looking eye gore thing, and the only thing I can really say about this shot today is how straight up cool it looks. Plus it looks like it's powered through the same energy seen in the original sequel teaser. Speaking of which, it's interesting that the hand really could be the hand of the original hero of Wilds, which would also give Link the ability to go back in time presumably, to relive the hand's day of being the hero, or before the hero was sentenced to sealing Ganondorf away for eternity. So maybe this Igor is a friend rather than a foe, or perhaps a foe turned friend. Either way, it's exciting. Also, this shot features even more stonework. Next we see our first glimpse of normal Link, assuming time travel will be in the next game. I'm going to refrain from talking about Breath of the Wild Link for the time being, but I do find it interesting that he's only ever seen in the underground or the normal overworld. We see a shot of the arm from the original trailer, and I'll refer back to my previous theory. I still think that this arm could be the old hero's. He may have served for eternity to protect Hyrule by sealing Ganondorf away, letting the hero of Wild take over his body. In fact, we see the hand actively manipulate time for certain objects, reversing time for a metallic spiked ball that is flying towards Link. To me, this just proves even further that the hand has some amount of connection to time travel. Not to mention that light that comes from the hand looking oddly like the light that sealed Calamity Ganon away in Breath of the Wild. This would prove with no uncertainties that the hand is the very same as the heroes from 10,000 years ago. A very quick thing before we get off the trailer bits would be the rain droplet that seems to fly upwards. This could be because of the jump Link does after this shot, but it could also definitely be symbolising time travel, as Link travels backwards or forwards in time. But time will tell. You know the final thing that Nintendo has said that could single-handedly prove this theory? They are not giving away the name of the game just yet because it would spoil certain aspects of the story. And that to me says something that a lot of people will probably agree with. Zelda games of old all seem to feature time travel in some capacity apart from Breath of the Wild, and many games have even had names that relate to exactly what happens story-wise in those games. For example, Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past. I think that we're bound to see time travel in the name of Breath of the Wild too. And they just don't want us to know until they officially reveal it in their first story trailer that could release at the end of the year at the next Direct or at the Game Awards. However, let's talk about at least one little flaw. Personally, I haven't found many yet. Do let me know in the comments if you have any flaws with the time travel ideas as of so far, since I want to expand this theory as much as possible in the coming weeks, but one flaw that Nehru actually pointed out and brought to my attention recently is that 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild, the hero had Sheikah technology, which means that if we can't see any in the trailer, then surely we can't be going back to that exact time. Well, honestly, there's so many ways to fudge and twist this theory going off of very little fudge at the minute, that we could just say that we're travelling back in time to when all of the Sheikah technology was hidden away. There's a plethora of ways to combat that at the minute in my opinion, but it's an interesting thought for sure. Anyway, what did you think of the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer? I thought it looked great and will fuel videos for a very long time. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, then please do leave a like rating and subscribe to see more videos from me. So I hope you'll join me for the Breath of the Wild 2 hype from now on. The people you can see on screen right now are the coolest people in existence, as they are my Patreon supporters. And as you can see, Sumji is an amazing guy with a little Triforce coloured name and everything. Thanks so much for the continued support, guys. If you'd like to join them, then you can for as little as £1 or $1.50 a month, or even more if you're feeling generous. You can find the link to that in the description. Along with that link, you'll find the link to the rest of my media platforms, so follow me on them to keep up with me. So for now, I'm going to go and stare at the trailer for another week, and I'll see you all next week. Please do stay safe.